a proclamation.
I'm actually standing in for Jackie Hayes.
Okay.
Jackie is sick tonight. I apologize. I'm Sue Rosa, Manager of Healthcare Services for the town of Chelmsford.
Good evening.
Basically, what we're here for is, I think everybody knows that October is Substance Use Prevention Month. So the Board of Health has designated the last week of October as our Substance Use Prevention Education Week here in Chelmsford. Substance use continues to happen in our community, and we need to continue our prevention efforts. Working with our community partners, we are now gathering data to help us to obtain grant funding for continued programming. So just one of the things I wanted to talk about was since June, we have been tracking overdose data, and our numbers indicate a true need to pursue our efforts. In June, Chelmsford had 7 overdoses. July, we had 4. August, we had 9. And September, we had 11. So we had a total of 31 overdoses in Chelmsford in the last 4 months. So basically what we will be doing the last week of October is we will be bringing education programs into our middle schools and high schools, age appropriate for each grade level. We have speakers that will talk about making good choices. We have other speakers that talk about how the brain is affected when you use different substances. And then we have a guest speaker coming in talking about sober thoughts to middle school kids as well as high school kids. And then we have a guest speaker who is coming on Wednesday, October 28th in the evening, 7 p.m. Dr. Ruth Pote is going to do a program for us at the Performing Arts Center. It's called The Teen Brain Under Construction. I do have flyers here, and I will leave them. And it's basically what every parent needs to know about teen risk-taking and brain development. Dr. Pote has been featured nationally and brings her expertise on adolescent brain development and its impact on teenage risk-taking. And she includes alcohol and substance use in her program. She blends the scientific research with hands-on understanding of the challenges of raising healthy teens. So every parent that attends, and we encourage all parents to attend, even if you only have an elementary school child, because before you know it, that child's going to be in middle school and high school. Anybody that attends will gain insight from her onto how the teen brain develops and functions and how to apply your knowledge in daily interaction with your teens. So again, that's October 28th. It's a Wednesday, 7 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center.
So out of those 31 overdoses, how many didn't
All
make
of them
it?
survived,
All of them.
thankfully, because we have Narcan
Okay.
with our police, fire, and Trinity. And recently what's happened is we were doing just spot checking. So now we've actually had community efforts where police, fire, and Trinity and the Board of Health have all joined together in our efforts to track these overdoses so that each department is comparing their data. Because oftentimes we may have police, fire, and Trinity all show up on a call. One of them, whoever arrives first usually, will give the Narcan. But they're cross-referencing their data to make sure that we have accurate. Because we may have lost in the past someone, and I say lost, I mean lost data, that maybe police administered something and then Trinity didn't know. So that's how we're tracking it. So we're getting very accurate numbers. But it's really, really scary. And just to kind of bring it more to the light, I got an email today from one of our Trinity reps. And he gave me a list of 7 different communities that in Massachusetts that Trinity responds to for emergencies. And in September, in Lowell, they responded to 31 overdoses, Haverhill 19, and Chelmsford was 3rd on the list with 6. So that's kind of scary.
How quickly, I'm sure it has to do with the amount that they take and the strength of it, whatever, but how soon do they have to get that Narcan before, well, it can still do some good? I mean, after the people take the
Well,
opiate.
typically when someone overdoses and it's on opiates and Narcan is used, Narcan temporarily reverses the effect of the overdose, because what happens is the opiate attaches to a receptor in the brain that tells your body to stop breathing. So when Narcan is administered, it usually works pretty quickly to knock that opiate off of that receptor, and then the person will start breathing. If the person has been passed away for a while, the Narcan's not going to work.
Like after 10 minutes or so?
Or if they've passed out
That's a long
10 minutes,
time.
yeah. And I think it's, Gary, you can help me, yeah, about 4 minutes. So it's not a long time. A lot of parents, thanks to Learn to Cope and Lowell House and other treatment facilities around this area, have Narcan at home. So if they know that they have a loved one struggling with addiction, then they have Narcan in the house and they can administer it themselves. And one of our tracking features with this data is that we are tracking who administers the Narcan, whether it's a family member, whether it's police, fire, EMT. And then the other thing we track is day of the week, time of the day, neighborhood location, gender, and age. And a lot of these are, our late 20s, early 30s. We have had people that are older, but so it just kind of reinforces my passion for getting this education out there into the schools so that if we can prevent these kids from ever trying it, then hopefully they'll never become sick with the disease.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I've seen on TV, there's been several communities that have placed Narcan into the high school.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what the numbers are, and I don't really care to know the numbers because that's a private thing. But are we, in the future, will we address that?
We actually have started addressing it. We first started talking about it last spring. And the first question that comes up is, how much does it cost? And in reality, it's not a lot of money to basically have Narcan in all of our schools. A couple people questioned, well, are overdoses really happening in the schools? The bottom line is they can, because of all the different functions that happen at schools, so that's why you really want it there. The district attorney's office, because I am on the DA task force with her and I attend those meetings, she is also actually trying to get all schools in Massachusetts to have Narcan. So we are moving towards that. She just got some grant funding where she said that some of the schools would actually be able to get Narcan into the schools and they would fund our first doses, if you will. Because I think I figured that to get Narcan in all of our schools would be about $600, which is such short money when you really think about what it would cost. And if it never gets used, that's awesome. So that's the goal. Dr. Kaplan, who was our Board of Health physician, he's also the school board physician. He is pretty much on board with that, and he would write our standing orders for it. So it's just a matter of getting everything into place and hopefully moving forward with that.
And $600 isn't an awful lot. Would that come out of the Board of Health budget and then be administered out of Board of Health?
No, it would actually be administered by, we would have to do training for school
like the
staff.
School nurse.
School nurses, and then maybe some of the, maybe the deans, the principals, say at the high school, and the principals at the other school. It's literally a 20-minute training because it's nasal Narcan. It's not an injection. It's very easy to do. So that is on the horizon, and hopefully
Thank you.
that will happen soon.
Let me read.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you'd like.
Town of Chelmsford Proclamation, Substance Abuse Prevention Month, October 2015. Whereas every day thousands of young Americans try drugs or alcohol for the first time, and for many this decision will have a profound impact on their health and well-being. Whereas every day far too many Americans are hurt by alcohol and drug abuse, from diminished achievement in our schools to greater risks on our roads and in our communities, to the heartache of lives cut tragically short, the consequences of substance abuse are profound. Whereas preventing substance use before it begins is the most effective way to eliminate the damage caused by drugs and the abuse of alcohol. Together we can make sure all children have the opportunity to pursue happy, fulfilling, and productive lives. Whereas adult role models play an integral part in preventing youth substance abuse, we must lead by example, adopt positive behaviors, and talk to our kids about living substance-free. This month, we stand with local coalitions and community organizations as they advance their drive to keep young people, families, and our Chelmsford community free from drug and alcohol abuse. And whereas substance use affects everyone, and each of us can play a part in helping the next generations make choices that support physical, mental, behavioral, and emotional health. Parents, mentors, and community members can model a healthy lifestyle and should talk with kids early and often about the dangers of drug and alcohol use. During National Substance Abuse Prevention Month, we recognize all those who work to prevent substance use in our community. Whereas we have invested in outreach programs that empower young adults with the facts about substance abuse, and we have worked to stem the tide of prescription drug abuse through education, monitoring, proper disposal, and enforcement. Therefore, we, the Chelmsford Board of Selectmen, do hereby officially proclaim the month of October Substance Abuse Awareness Month in the town of Chelmsford, Massachusetts. Furthermore, I invite all citizens of our town to duly note this occasion by doing all we can to support all community prevention and education programs and make substance abuse prevention a public health priority. Signed this 5th day of October 2015, Matthew Hanson, Robert Joyce, Laura Merrill, Janet Askenberg, George Dixon, and sealed by the town clerk, Honorina Maloney.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have Michelle Sacco here to announce the upcoming open house at the Center Fire Station on October 25th.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to announce our fire prevention open house that will be held this month, October 25th, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. And it will be the first time at our new firehouse. We will be having our annual Safe House trailer, Pluggy, the talking fire hydrant, educational material for all ages from 1 all the way to 80, our senior citizens, Papa Gino's Pizza, and car seat installation and safety checks. And for the first time this year, because our open house, our fire prevention open house falls on Halloween week, we wanted the kids to come dress up in their Halloween costumes, and we'll be setting it up where they could trick or treat around the firehouse.
Oh, that's nice.
We also will be having our new ladder truck and our new engine to show off to the public. If anyone has any questions, we have our Facebook page, Chelmsford Fire Department. We will be posting on that page as time is approaching, and in addition to other information in regards to the Chelmsford Fire Department. You could also contact the office at 978-250-5267.
Thank you. That sounds like a great event. Thank you so
guys.
much.
You guys have a good evening.
Good luck. Good evening. Okay, we'll now move on to open session. Is there anyone here this evening who wishes to address the board?
Hi, Lynn Marcella from the Chelmsford Parade, and with me is one of our newest members, Donna Sargent. And it seems like we were just here after the 4th of July parade, and now all of a sudden we're going to show you our new winter banner. So, Donna, if you want to show them our new winter banner.
Oh, that's great.
We've already sold more than half of them.
Oh, wow.
And we just have had it out for a week. So we're really excited about it. It really is cute. One of our newer members, Dan Sylvia, came up with the idea of the snowman, and we just thought it would be cute for, through the winter. So we just want to let everybody know that they are available, but they are going quick. You can have your business name on it, logo, family name. We are even having some families that are doing them in memory of a loved one. So it's kind of a nice different thing, which we appreciate. We also are still looking for some committee members to take over. I'm showing Donna the ropes of how to do the banners. So, with this particular committee's been doing this for 9 years now, and we're looking to kind of step down in a couple years. So we'll be around for a little bit longer. But it's just nice to have some new blood and new ideas. So if anybody would like one of the banners, they can get in touch with any of the committee members, contact us through our website, which is chelmsfordparade.org, or send us an email, chelmsfordparade@aol.com, and as soon as possible, because like I said, they're going quick.
Great.
So, yes.
How many do you put up, Lynn?
We put up 63. We put up about 40 in the center. I think it's 30 up at Vinyl Square, and Drum Hill runs about 10, 12. But Dawn has been working on actually increasing it up there, because we'd really like to, they look so nice, and I think if we have more, in Vinyl Square. It would really look nice. And there's a decorating committee in Vinyl Square that puts wreaths up when we do the banners, and, you know, it just makes it look a little more seasonal. So we do have some more poles that we can put hardware on, but we don't want to do it until we know that, you know, we have the banners, because the hardware is quite expensive. And they're $400. I didn't say
400?
that. Yes.
Okay. I know that Adamo came in a couple of weeks ago for a license, and where that's going to be up most of the winter. They're not going to open until February. You might approach them, though.
Okay.
They made
Yeah,
a point of
because
saying
they're going to be
support-
up till the beginning of April.
Yeah,
So it's
they
a
might
good
be
4
interested,
months.
yeah.
Okay, great. Thank
You
you.
know who I'm talking about.
I do,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Take care.
So much. Have a
Thanks.
good night. Still in open session. Good evening, Mary.
Hi, Mary Tiano, 1 Spruce Street, and a Precinct 8 rep. We are past the 1-year mark since the financial issue became known, where more than $878,000 of fiscal year 14 expenses were paid with fiscal year 15 appropriation. Since last October, the citizens of Chelmsford have demanded for policies, procedures, transparency, and accountability regarding the financial issue, which centered on those warrants being approved and paid improperly. The warrants passed through 3 checkpoints on their way to payment: the school business manager, the school committee, and the town accountant. Each checkpoint suffered a 100% system failure, and in excess of $878,000 were paid in an inappropriate fiscal year. The board has no control over the first 2 stops along the warrants path, the school business manager or the school committee, but it does have control over the town accountant, as the town accountant is a direct report to the board. The town accountant's approval of FY14 expenses with FY15 appropriation is a violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 56. The town accountant by law has the duty to examine all bills. The town accountant by law has the power to disallow and refuse to approve any claim as fraudulent, unlawful, or excessive. A request was made of the board on August 9th to report to the community what procedures were in place last July and August in the town accountant's office regarding warrant approval, how these procedures failed, and what changes, updates, and improvements have been implemented to ensure an error of this magnitude does not happen again. The only response thus far from the town accountant was that she did miss a couple of invoices. To be 100% clear, all of the FY14 expenses were missed, all $878,000 of them. That is a total system failure. As the town accountant is a direct report to the board, I'm requesting that this board disclose to the community what occurred under the town accountant's purview in July and August of 2014, how these failures have been addressed, what systems have been put in place to ensure the town accountant is fulfilling her duties and restore confidence to the taxpayers that payments will only be approved if examined by the town accountant and found to be proper. The community needs to hear how the town has addressed its part of the financial issue. For the 3 parts a warrant goes through, from preparation to payment, the community needs to hear how each of these parts has improved and how measures have been taken to safeguard the town's resources. For the 3rd part, the town accountant's part, the community still waits. Any assistance the board can give is appreciated and will go a long way to restoring taxpayer confidence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. And just to discuss that briefly, I have been working with the town accountant on this, and the short answer, I'm working on putting together a much more sort of comprehensive answer. I think it was said by the town accountant, but maybe not put together as a list, if you will, but all of the different recommendations from all of the audit reports that were done throughout the course of that issue, as it's been described, every single one of the recommendations from the different auditing firms have, according to the town accountant, been put in place now. So I don't have that list in front of me this evening, but that's the answer. So I'm working on basically articulating that with her and confirming everything with her. But in my conversations with her, that's her answer. So I will get you some more information again shortly, and I can express it here, so the community is aware. You've requested that the community is aware, but that's the really short answer to the question. But I'll, yes, Bob?
I'm a little confused. Paul, didn't this come to light because of the town accountant?
No, it came to light as a result of the auditors last fall. And I think
No,
that's...
no, before that.
No,
Weren't there
no,
misappropriations into the
No.
15th budget?
no.
That's the audit.
It was the auditors who uncovered this. And I think...
Oh, okay, all right.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think that
Yeah.
may be the answer. We're expecting the report from the auditors next month on the financial audit for fiscal year 15. And I think probably, again, to have an independent third party might be the most appropriate way to address these questions, and have the auditor, who's the independent investigator, to answer the questions and concerns that the board and the community may have. And I think, as we indicated to you at the tri-board meeting, the auditors have been in, have done their field work, and we've been informed verbally, and again, you'll have it in writing next month, that the financial situation of the town is in great condition. The material weakness has been remedied, will not be stated in this year's audit, and so forth. So I guess the short answer is we will hear from the auditors themselves in a month. And I think that hopefully will give restore the confidence and give again a professional opinion to the community.
Sure.
So it's a follow-up question. So the auditors were beginning their audit last year, and that's when they found it?
Yes, when they were in over the end of the summer doing their work in August is when this was uncovered. And
Right.
and as I said earlier, they've done that similar work this summer, and obviously those issues are not there. But also they can also speak to the processes that are in place to prevent the situation from reoccurring.
But the fact that invoices were not entered in a timely basis is certainly not the town accountant's fault.
No, but the question is regarding the payment of prior year invoices in the
Right.
subsequent fiscal year. And I think that's, again, a matter that was addressed, as the chairman noted, in the audits that were conducted last year. And again, I think it's a matter for the auditor who can report to this board. And again, at that meeting, we will invite the school committee and finance committee to also be in attendance to hear the financial report from the auditors and also address any questions that they may have.
Yeah. No, should be fine.
So again, that should be here next month, probably the second meeting in November.
Thank you, Paul. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak under open session? Good evening.
John Souza, 88 Carlisle Street, also serving as Town Finance Director. Just to respond, I'm going to add some clarification to that. Having lived through this whole entire school financial crisis, I guess I'm a little troubled that a town meeting rep would cast some doubt on the town accountant's role in fulfilling her responsibility when the town meeting rep that we're talking about just happens to be the spouse of the former school superintendent. I've lived through the whole thing, and I can tell you that I can shed a little bit of light on how some of those invoices came through. First, I can tell you as a former school business office employee that I would have been embarrassed to send a warrant over here in the condition that it was. And it's definitely the school business manager and the school accountant's direct responsibility, because I've actually been over there and done the work, to make sure that that warrant is in perfect condition when it goes to the school committee. There shouldn't be old invoices or things left and done in an improper manner and then hope that the school committee somehow catches it or the town accountant somehow catches it. That should be in perfect order when it goes to when it's submitted for payment, because the people that are signing their bills are signing their name that everything was done correctly. Second, I can tell you that at the meeting that we had with the audit firm, and then at a public finance committee meeting, the head of the audit firm, Richard Sullivan, asked the former school business manager asked a direct question and said, "Are there any more invoices beyond what we've found?" And the answer was no. And I can tell you the very next morning, I think it was the Monday morning after, we were shocked when I heard from the town accountant that another batch of about 145,000 arrived on her doorstep. I can also tell you, the board, that on numerous occasions, Darlene Lucier held back what I would describe as a tidal wave of attempted things that were outside the Mass General law. In fact, on a few occasions, I happened to be in her office, and and I can tell you on several occasions that we were lied to directly, either on the phone or in person, about numerous invoices. Dates were manipulated, and, I encourage the board to do, certainly within your purview to do an investigation, but it just really bothers me that someone that's has some kind of connection to this whole thing that would stand up and just try to discredit or disparage the job that our town accountant did, because I've lived through the whole disaster, and it was a disaster.
John, I understand. I do want to say anyone, whether they're a town meeting rep or involved or just a resident of town, does have the right to come up and ask questions, and I do want to make sure that we're answering them to the best of our ability.
Oh,
So I just
absolutely.
want to make that clear, but I do appreciate your clarifying points, because I know you're also in an office closer related to trying to work through this as well. So thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, I'd like to ask one question. I don't know who can answer it, but if what Mrs. Stiano is saying is correct, then why is the business manager and the school superintendent gone? In that action, there is guilt associated, I'm sorry. And I hold the superintendent, even though he doesn't have signing authority, everything that happens under his watch in his department is his problem.
Right, Bob.
Now, just to give you an example, if you were to go to Neshoba Tech, the business manager over there, even though the school committee signs the warrant, the superintendent reviews the warrant. So, I'm sorry, this looks like a smokescreen to me, and I'm just not going to accept it. The amount of money that was paid out to the school department
I think
and
we're
their
getting a little
employees.
off track.
No, I'm not off track. I'm talking related to the people who were here.
No, I understand.
So what do you object to? You like it? Do you like the fact we spent over $2 million?
I'll say again, I think you're getting a little off track. I'm just trying to steer you back.
Do you
on
like the
course.
fact that we spent $2 million to bail them out? Answer the question.
I'm not going to answer your question. You're out of order.
Because you can't.
I would just like to add something. Ms. Tiano has come before this board, and she has come before the Finance Committee, and she's been very respectful. And what I would ask is that we be respectful in return. I don't like, and it really happened at the Finance Committee, it was personalized. Not once has she come up and made this about her husband. She has approached this as a town meeting rep, so I just ask everybody to be respectful. Because
I didn't mention the names. I specifically
it doesn't matter.
didn't
I
mention
just ask everyone, please be respectful. Okay, if somebody's going to give us that respect, please give it back, because you're sending the message that this is how we act towards people who have a complaint and have in their mind a legitimate complaint. So
It's more than
I'm
that,
just
Janet.
asking.
It's more than that,
I'm
Janet.
just asking to be respectful. Don't personalize this if somebody is not personalizing it themselves.
They are personalizing. The mere fact that the speaker got up and spoke about something that her husband was involved in.
I know, Bob.
They are personalizing it.
I disagree, and I'm asking you to be respectful.
You would disagree. You probably appointed him.
You can be upset. Yes, I did hire him, but that doesn't mean you have to drag.
I'm
this
not
through
being
the mud.
disrespectful. I just want the people out there to understand that this was an issue that started at the school department.
I understand. I'm saying
And
don't
what I'm hearing tonight-
personalize
Well, I
this
think we all
when it
understand
hasn't
that.
been personalized by the person who's bringing it up.
I
Okay?
think
That's
you
all I'm
made your
asking.
point, Bob. Janet has clarified. We just want to be respectful to anyone asking questions. You've made your points.
Being respectful.
John, you've
I'm
made
not
yours.
using
Thank
their
you.
names.
Well, thank you. We are still under open session. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Yes.
Good, she starts, and I'm gonna respond.
So to all the members of the board,
Here's the question. I understand.
I am up here not because of my husband. If I were to come up because of my husband, it would have been several months ago. I have far too much respect for the work that goes on in central office, for the students of this town. I have far too much respect for my fellow town meeting reps to ever get up in front of this microphone and ask or say anything that would seem self-serving. That self-imposed restriction is now gone, so I am up here asking about the policies and procedures that fed into the financial issue. And there are 3 levels. We have the school business manager, and that was very well documented in the town's audit, which discovered it, and with the forensic audit. Laid it all out there, clear as a bell. What we have not heard from is the school committee or the town accountant. Each level of that process is dictated by Mass General Law, okay? Laws were violated. Duties were violated. Some kind of policies were violated. And $878,000 were spent. Just because you have a licensed professional doing the job, meaning the school business manager, doesn't mean those other people, under the obligation of the law, can turn their head. They still have a duty. 5 sets of hands touched every single warrant that got paid inappropriately. 5. Not 1. 5. Now, if we're going to fix this problem and make sure that the townspeople can understand that the money we give the town to spend and the schools to spend is being spent appropriately, let's fix it and let's hear about it. We've only heard about 1/3 of a 3-part process. That's why I'm here, and I asked her respectfully, Superintendent's gone. He can never come back. That's not why I'm here. Fix the process and let us know it's fixed. Thank you.
Who are the 5? Can you tell me who the 5 are?
The school committee, Bob.
The school committee and the business
sign the
manager
warrant.
signs.
Okay,
So we have the
it's
school business manager signs and approves every warrant. You have 3 members of the school committee,
All right, that's
which
what
sign it, which represents a quorum. So it's a motion of that body to approve that warrant for payment. Then, I didn't observe the town accountant's signature, but by law, the warrant then moves to her for approval for drawing of a draft by the treasurer. 5 hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak under open session? Seeing none, we'll move on to committee vacancies. Would you like to read those, Selectman Joyce?
Do you want me to read it?
Let me get to it. Okay. Yeah, why don't you do it?
Committee vacancies as of October 5th, 2015. There is 1 vacancy on the Community Preservation Fund Committee, 1 vacancy on the Great Brook Farm Advisory Committee, 1 vacancy on the Land Management Subcommittee, 2 vacancies on the Public Celebrations Committee, 3 vacancies on the Recycling Committee, 1 vacancy on the Tree Committee, and 1 vacancy on the Vinyl Square Strategic Action Plan Committee. If you're interested in serving on a town board or committee, please fill out the committee application. It's available on the town website, www.townofchelmsford.us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. We'll now move on to licenses. We have a 1-day beer and wine license application from St. John the Evangelist Church on October 25th.
I don't have anything.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
have
I
it
don't
in my hard copy, Paul. I don't know if you have a copy.
I don't have it. It's not on,
Yeah.
it's not in the pen.
I'd entertain a motion to approve it contingent upon tip certification being provided to the town.
Okay, I'll move that.
It's October 25th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays or abstentions? It's unanimous.
Bob, you just broke your own rule by moving that.
What?
It works well for me. We'll get out of here quicker.
I know I did, because I like to see the paperwork in front of me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you anyways. We'll now move on to agenda item number 6, the vote on the recommendations on the town fall
It's on the agenda.
meeting warrant articles. Number 1, reports of town officers, of course, we don't take a vote on that. The E-rate special revenue to the school department. We did have the presentation on that before. Any questions?
I need a pen. Someone took my pen from that office.
Yeah.
Do you have an extra thing?
That's not yours, but you can have it.
No, that isn't it. I think it's that one personally.
I took this from the office too.
Yeah, because it was with the stuff to sign. I'm fine.
No, I
I'm
took
fine.
it out of
Joe.
the share jar.
Hmm?
But that's fine. Janet let you borrow her pen. So we're on warrant article number 2. So I would entertain a motion to recommend approval.
Move, we recommend approval on this article.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays or abstentions? Did you vote, Bob?
Yep, I did.
You in favor?
It was
I couldn't hear you, I'm
the
sorry.
Pat Wojcik vote.
Quiet? Okay. So that was unanimous? Agenda item number 3. Town meeting warrant article number 3. fiscal year 15 snow and ice expenditures deficit, funding for that. And we discussed this at the last meeting. Any questions before we make a vote?
I had a quick question. I was at a conference this weekend, and I heard a rumor that the state had reneged their decision on giving out any kind of reimbursement for the snow and ice. Have you heard anything about that?
We have not heard that. The final fiscal year 15 state budget legislation has been filed by the governor, was enacted by the House, is expecting an action this week by the Senate, and then it's going to be a conference committee because they have different bills, and then the deadline is October 31st. But everything that we understand is that the funding is there.
Okay.
So, but we'll see it, by the end of, I
We'll
expect
be hopefully
by the night of
optimistic.
town meeting. But
Listen,
If
it
it's in
seemed
there,
like
we
a
don't
pretty
vote
good
it,
source,
right?
so it was part of, it was interesting.
Right.
We'll see.
Okay.
Another broken promise.
Right.
We'll see. Well, would anyone
you.
like to
I
make a
move
motion?
we recommend the snow and ice deficit amount that's given us from the state. Is there a number, Paul?
305,965.
3,005, 963.
965, yeah.
Yeah, you can just say Article 3 if you want.
Yeah, but
As
I-
presented.
I
Okay.
don't,
No.
I think numbers
Okay.
should be included in
Sure.
motions.
No, that's fine.
Just
Okay,
say, just make sure you mention Article 3.
okay, Article 3.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Warrant Article number 4, funding for collective bargaining agreements. Still no action at this time, correct, Paul?
Yes, no action.
Okay. Warrant Article number 5, amending the fiscal year 2016 operating budget. Again, this was discussed. Any changes since the last meeting, Paul?
No, no.
Okay.
Does this include the 500,000?
It's the $500,000 to the school department operating budget, and as you know, as we discussed at the tri-board, that was for the special education overruns, and then the balance of which would be 293,572 would be to reduce the tax levy.
And again, thank you, Paul, on that, but I think you're only half done because you're going to need to convince town meeting, so
Right.
I look forward to that passionate plea.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to make a motion to recommend approval of Article 5?
I would like to split it. I'm not going to vote for the school 500,000.
I don't think you can do that here. You have to do it on town meeting floor, correct?
Oh,
Okay,
we can do what we want.
no. I can make the
Well,
motion.
Is
Yeah,
there-
I think we probably have enough for.
Do it on town meeting
quorum.
floor.
When they ask for a recommendation, we have to have a recommendation, right?
Right, but if
I
you
don't want to vote
feel-
against giving money back to the taxpayers, but I also don't want to vote for $500,000 that could have been $250.
Won't you abstain?
Right, yeah,
No,
Bob,
I don't
you
want
you
to.
could,
Oh.
you could make that motion. I don't think it's probably gonna have enough votes to pass, so it might save time if we let Janet make a motion first and see if that passes.
No, that's fine.
Unless
Let
you're
him say
opposed
his
to that.
piece.
All right, you can make a
I don't know
motion.
what did you want to do?
Well, I want to vote for the 200 that Paul's given back to the taxpayers,
Okay.
but
No, it's 293.
293.
And
Okay.
I'm
At
not
least
giving
round
it,
up.
and I'm not giving it back to the taxpayers. I'm recommending the town
you're
meeting.
getting a lot of credit for it, Paul.
Yeah.
The
Or
293.
recommending.
Right.
Okay.
But only that portion of the article is what you're recommending?
Yeah, I'm recommending
Okay,
that portion.
does Selectman Joyce's motion have a second? No, motion fails for lack of a second?
I guess my issue is, I'd like to know what steps have been put in place to prevent another
Yeah.
surprise like that.
Yeah.
And again, this isn't going to be solved here, but
I mean, it was,
it's a lot of money to be like, oh, we forgot to put it in the spreadsheet.
right. I mean, I know that was touched upon at the tri-board meeting. I mean, my best understanding of the situation was 200,000 of it was, of course, new students, but 300,000 of it was somewhere in the transition between the superintendents and the special ed director and the new business manager. Those students weren't transferred over. I mean, I don't have any more information than that right now, Paul. I mean,
You mean the-
better
you
answer
mean-
for you.
You mean the process broke down?
Yes, that's how it was
Yeah.
described to us, is that from the submittal of the
Yep.
budget in January
So I
to the
guess-
end of the school year, there were no adjustments or updates provided, despite the fact that the special ed director was at the last school committee meeting in June, making a recommendation on hiring and funding about bringing people in. So, yes, Bob,
But what
the
I'm
short answer to your
saying-
question is yes. There
What
was
I
a breakdown.
maintain is,
For a portion of it.
A portion
And the
of
rest
it,
was new
right.
what
kids
I'm
in it.
saying is a portion of it could have been covered by $240,000 that was paid out in benefits to the former superintendent.
No.
So that's why I'm voting
You would have
against
had to pay that anyway.
They couldn't tell me where it was coming from, Paul.
It's coming from their $52-some-odd million budget.
Yeah, but they
which
couldn't tell me where.
Which they have line item autonomy on.
Why don't we vote on the article and then you can amend it at the town meeting?
Yeah, so I mean,
You know, I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of the school committee and their minions coming in and striking at us, and then expecting to have all the money we can possibly gather up and give it to them. There's a time to put a stop to this. And
the-
other members on this board have to recognize that.
Well, we can vote against it if we have to,
Understand.
but we
Yeah.
need
Bob,
to make a motion and
can-
we'll
No, I
put it
don't
up
know.
there.
Bob, you're free to vote for or against any motion. So that motion failed.
But not here.
No, that's fine, Bob. I don't think anyone's telling you to not talk.
Hmm?
I don't think anyone's telling you to not talk. And I can understand why you're upset. I think a lot of people are upset, but I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for with this particular article, what you want to do. Do you want to, I guess I'm not sure. Did you want to second
No.
his motion?
I
Okay.
did not want to second his motion, but I would say that I would approve this motion with the contingency that we understood at town meeting what steps be put in place so that we don't have students falling off the special needs budgeting.
The problem is with the school department, and Paul just brought it up, they have a gigantic black hole full of money. And if you don't give them the money, then they can't do their program. But they don't have to spend it the way you tell them to spend it. So,
But they know when they're out of money, because
I-
there's several articles here looking for
Right.
money.
They've done a lot of work recently to try and work on their specific line items so they know where each dollar is being spent.
no, other people
better.
did a lot of work on it and set it up for them.
Do you want
Let's be
to,
honest. Let's be honest. Frank Antonelli set it up.
why don't you make a
Right.
motion to vote for this on town meeting floor? After you hear everything.
You can amend it.
Yeah, I know I can amendment, but that was like, you know,
I mean,
my trying to get this
We
through.
have to make a recommendation.
yeah, we have to make,
Yes or no. So-
this is the article that's being presented.
Well, I'm gonna, okay, someone else make the motion. I'm gonna abstain, and then I'm gonna speak at town meeting as to why I abstained.
That sounds like a great plan. Would anyone else like to make a motion?
Okay. What article are we
Five,
on?
five, yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 5.
I will second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays or abstentions?
Abstentions.
One abstention.
Abstain.
401, right?
401, yep, correct. Article 6, the Sewer Construction Stabilization Fund. This was explained at the last meeting. Any follow-up questions since then? I would entertain a motion. This is Article 6.
What is that, the sewer construction stabilization fund? Right?
Yes.
Did they
mo-
say what it was going towards? I looked at what we gave them, $825,000 in the spring for the progress station, but this.
No. This is the funding vehicle for the sewer debt service. It gets paid from three forms. The earlier portions of the sewer project were paid through debt exclusions, and then other portions of the project were paid through betterments, and then the other was through the capital assessment fee on sewer bills.
Okay, all right.
What happens is the interest on those funds go to the general fund. And what we then do is take those actual interest earnings as reported for the prior year by the town treasurer, and then put that into the sewer construction stabilization fund. So that way the debt service is paid off over a 20-year period without any spike in rates.
Okay.
So that's what happens is this is an annual article in the fall.
just the
which
debt
we take
service.
we take the actual interest earnings and put it into the debt service account.
How much is it, Paul?
It is 191, 421,
191,
421.
421. Okay, I move that we recommend favorable action on Article 6 for $191,421.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Move on to warrant article number 7, amending the sewer grinder pump bylaw. We had a presentation and a few follow-up comments about that at the last meeting. Any additional comments, questions?
This was approved by the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee and by the special committee, obviously, that did the
But
work.
he's the chairman of the Finance Committee.
He's on both, correct.
No, but the whole committee was
Yep.
unanimous.
Yes, Selectman Joyce, would you like?
Move we approve the Article 7 to amend the sewer grinder pump bylaw.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? It was unanimous. Article number 8, amending the fiscal year 2016 sewer enterprise operating budget. Any questions?
Yeah, Paul, what is it?
We're seeking an appropriation of $170,000, which will be raised from sewer revenues, to meet the ongoing maintenance costs for the sewer grinder pumps in accordance with the bylaw.
Okay.
It's like the second phase of, right? It's the second phase of what we passed.
Right, it would be a second
Well,
year.
they didn't have enough money, though.
Right.
That's why he's appropriating more money,
Right.
George.
They take it
Remember,
out
this was
every year.
tabled at the Springtown meeting, and then
Yeah.
now we're picking it up from
Okay.
now that the bylaw has been amended.
Okay, I move we recommend favorable action on Article 8 to amend the fiscal year 2016 sewer enterprise operating budget by $170,000.
I will second.
All in favor? Nays or abstentions? It's unanimous. Great. Warrant article number 9, appraisal and structural analysis of the Chelmsford Forum. We all know this is in preparation for
What's the
deciding
forum?
whether we may or may not
$15,000.
proceed with purchasing the property or taking other action in the future. Any questions?
Move that we recommend favorable action on Article 9 for $15,000 for the forum.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? It's unanimous. Warrant article number 10, a comprehensive facilities assessment of the Chelmsford Public Schools. This was discussed, of course, at the tri-board meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah.
Was this at your urging, or was it at their urging?
The genesis of this came from the new superintendent of schools, Jay Lang.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Jay Ash is the DHCD. Jay Lang, this has to do a comprehensive facilities assessment for the 10-year period. I fully support this.
I want to make an announcement.
You want
It's here, but I think.
to do it now, or do you
Yeah.
want to
No,
wait?
we
Do you
can
mind
do
if
it.
we just
Yeah,
do
I
a
was
quick?
gonna
Since
say,
he's
we can
here.
do it.
Hey,
Do you want to,
Richard.
would you like to come up and make an announcement? We can. You look like you may be leaving on us.
Yes, I have to be somewhere else. Yes, the board voted just recently that we increase the age to 21 for the purchasing of all tobacco products. So that was done tonight, just earlier.
Oh,
last
tonight
hour.
was
Yes,
the vote.
tonight.
Oh, wow.
Was it unanimous?
Yes.
Okay.
And when would that become effective, Richard? If
We're writing the next month we'll be writing the draft.
Yeah.
Okay, to see how we're specifically within our own regulations, it changes, and probably the following month, probably,
Okay,
my guess, so.
And what is the fine?
by the end of,
The fine to the retailers that are selling tobacco,
Yeah.
if they don't comply,
Mhm.
it's an increasing thing. The first offense is $100, second one's $200, third is $300, and then there's suspension of licenses and other kinds of things in between, so,
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
okay?
Thank you
All
for
right,
letting
thanks.
us know.
Thank you.
okay, so back to your question, Bob. The genesis of this came from the superintendent of schools. I support the request because it is essential for our long-term capital planning to understand the needs of our schools, particularly as it deals with their programmatic needs, having to do with the facilities in terms of the modular buildings and so forth, as we've been discussing for a few years, as well as the operational needs such as full-day kindergarten or other aspects of their program, science labs at the middle schools and so forth. So the superintendent deserves credit for the origin of this idea, and I support it.
The one thing I don't like about it is that it opens up the door to things that we probably wouldn't normally do. Well,
How
if you
so?
say, go evaluate all the buildings, they're gonna find something wrong with every building.
But then we'll be more informed so that we
Yeah.
can make the correct choices in terms of how to invest our money
Back in
over
the
the
early
next
2000s,
decades.
we had a proposal for 113 million. I don't
Yeah.
wanna have that kind of,
We don't know what we're gonna have, Bob, till we do the study.
yeah, so is it worth spending the money?
Yes, because
We
that way
just
we
did
can,
18 million from the electrical thing.
yeah.
Um,
But clearly, there are issues with the modular classrooms. We can't ignore the fact that the youngest building of our school system is 40 years old in terms of age. Now, yes, we've done some more recent work, and as you said, in electrical systems at the center school and so forth. But in order to make an informed decision going forward, it's been well over a decade since a comprehensive analysis of the buildings has taken place. And I think we need that in order to decide how to go forward, because it may be advantageous for the town to do some of the projects instead of on 100% of the town's expense, to perhaps submit a project to MSBA in which we could get 50% reimbursement. So I think it makes sense to step back, bring in the community, have the input sessions as the superintendent described at the tribe board meeting, and then hopefully by late next spring, early summer, have a document that specifies the condition and investments that the town can consider going forward.
And I think the important thing is it's how the condition and things like that relate to the programmatic needs given
Right.
on their projected enrollments over the next 10 years. So it's
we
very
were
much.
We were given that information 10 years ago,
Mhm.
and the voters in the town didn't want to do it. So what I'm saying is that, you know what I'm saying? This is like a wish list thing.
Didn't-
It's
No,
like
but no,
I
Bob,
think it removes the emotion from it, because I've been hearing this about,
a lot of emotion 10 years ago.
yeah, but I do, because I was kind of against it as well at first. I thought, oh, do we really need to spend this money? But at the same time, and being on the school committee, I could see the arguments, and people start getting very emotional about buildings, and they have, memories there and such, and we have to take a step back and let somebody come in and, I think, properly assess these and provide us with the data, and then make some decisions. 'Cause
Yeah.
like Paul said, I mean, there was, the override was supposed to address, the science labs, and I think the modular buildings as well. We may find out that we don't need to replace the modular buildings because we have enrollment down. So
Right.
that's really not an argument or something we need to consider. But we can either argue with the school committee, or we can have somebody come in and kind of make that case for us. And hopefully,
We could have a new set of portables put in.
I think it's only fair that the new superintendent knows exactly what he's dealing with, and he can set his plans
He
forward.
knows what he saw when he walked in for his interview.
No, not to this degree.
Right.
Not
No,
too
but-
much.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about. All of a sudden, we're finally getting to the point, we've got the fire station, we've got the police station, we've got the library, we've got all these things going. Now we gotta find another big project for the taxpayers to have to pay for.
I think it's almost potentially eliminating that next big project, because we have somebody coming in and saying, maybe with some minor adjustments, this building's going to last another 10, 20 years.
Right.
It could happen.
This building,
It could happen
it's
without
over
this.
100 years old.
It could happen without the assessment,
It's
though.
over 100 years old.
I'd rather deal with data than arguing with somebody over a structure. I mean, I hear what you mean, and that's a concern of mine, but I'd rather have third-party data in front of me to have that argument with
For
somebody.
$200,000.
Right.
We could return to the taxpayers.
Well, I don't know if that's an excessive amount, if that's a conservative.
I think it seems like a high amount, just based on what Superintendent Lang was saying about how he did a similar assessment in Lowell, and there were close to 30 buildings for about $400,000, and now we're looking at about 10 buildings for $200,000, so it's a lot of money.
Don't forget.
It's going out to
A
competitive
lot of our
bid.
buildings are a lot larger than some
Yeah,
of
but
the
Lowell
ones here.
gets 90% funding, too, you gotta remember
But
that.
they didn't get funding for the study.
No, but they get,
Right,
yeah.
they're issuing a request for proposals. They'll know when the proposals come in what the study cost will be. It'll be competitively procured. But the problem with those studies is they're not linear. It's not as though you can just divide it by the number of buildings. You have a fixed cost of getting the people and the resources coming in.
So you're going to have that baseline
Of that
amount.
baseline amount of
I think he
just
did say-
mobilization and effort.
He was expecting closer to probably 175,000, but they
Right.
don't technically know till they go out to bid, so they put a number to, be safe. But
You believe in Santa
Will
Claus,
become-
too?
I do procurement for a living, Bob. All right.
So
Would
we-
anyone like to make a motion?
Oh, sure. I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 10.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions?
No.
No.
2 nays, so it was 3 to 2.
2.
Vivian? Okay. Great. Warrant article number 11, design and bid specifications for the Center Village wayfinding signage. Again, Evan explained this project. This is so we can basically, as you can see, design and get the bid specifications, so over time we can come up with a plan on how we may be able to fund portions of the projects from the Center Village master plan related to signage moving forward, so.
How much is this, Paul?
We're seeking $10,000.
I thought it was 15.
No,
It
15 was for the
It's
forum.
10,000.
10,000 is for this
Oh,
one.
it
Yeah,
changed
with a
since
total
the
cost,
Other thing
if
that
we
I was
move
saying.
forward, 150 to 250.
Okay. It just seems to me that this whole article is premature of all the work that we're doing in the center of town, and that we're gonna come up with a plan. We could form a committee, an ad hoc committee, to do this kind of work at this point, because we're really not, there's all kinds of proposed construction going down there, there's the Riverview, and we're still waiting for that money to be released, never mind the project started. To be starting to look at the signs to go in, that seems like an afterthought. And, you know, we should wait to see how much money we have left over from those projects before we start really going down this path. So I would not approve this article.
Was this originally part of the $5 million funding?
It's included in the comprehensive Center Village master
Yeah.
plan.
Okay.
But the issue of signage in the center has preceded the master plan. I mean, there's been an ongoing concern about navigating people through the center in terms of, you know, where do you
Left turn.
find the municipal parking lot, where's anything, somebody comes in off the rail trail and comes into the center, which as we know is going to be expanded now into Acton and so forth, and you come in on a bicycle or walking into the center, you don't have a clue what's around you anywhere, other than what you can see with your eyes. I mean, you got to picture yourself as somebody who's not familiar with the center of our community, and that's the purpose of the signage. And yes, it's included in the $5 million of the master plan, but we don't foresee any release of those monies, any indication those monies are being released. And so if our goal is to wait for that to happen, then quite frankly, we're likely not to see anything happen in the center regarding signage. And if you don't support the signage, then that's fine. But I just point out that that's what this is for. This is for the signage. This is not work that I don't believe is necessary or required as part of the Center Village comprehensive plan. This has been a long-standing need in the center, as I said, for quite some time, and I think would provide benefit in a limited way to the community.
Bob, you have a question?
Yeah, why don't we just put signs up? I mean, we don't have to buy signs.
Because it's an historic center, and how would you want these signs to look like? The community has previously invested decorative lighting.
Yep.
We've buried portions of the center with the funding allowed to us underground. And so now to just put signs up, I think the whole point of the article was to put appropriately designed signs in the center, but that costs money.
But we haven't done the architectural part.
That's what this is for. That's to spend the $10,000 to do the design and
You need
bid
to do this
specifications.
before you can go out
No,
to
you
bid
don't.
to purchase the
No,
signs.
you don't.
How are you going to do it?
You can, your highway department can make signs, right?
They don't make the type of quality of signs that you're looking for under this article.
Oh, no.
Just like they
I'm
can put up
saying-
streetlights, but they don't do decorative streetlights.
I'm
It's the same
saying,
thing.
put up signs that are informative and not decorative at this
Right.
point. And then when the $5 million comes from the state, which I'm not so sure it will ever come.
Right.
But then we put up the nice fancy signs. It doesn't make sense.
So
know?
you wanna
If the
have-
building, if the business association wants to put up sign, then we should ask them to put up signs.
This
and
has
pay
nothing
them.
to do with the business association. Their name isn't on this
No,
plan or
I
in this
know,
article.
I know. I'm asking
But-
for
but
some
it- but
joint
it-
partnership here, Paul.
I mean, I think Evan actually
What
addressed
do they
that.
do in Harvard? I'd like to know.
They
what
don't
they
have
do.
decorative signs in Harvard. They don't have
Well,
a
they don't-
downtown, Bob.
They don't
Well,
have any
let me
decorative
ask you
signs,
this,
then let's
so-
forget it.
And I don't understand the reference to Harvard, Bob, quite frankly.
Well, because you live in Harvard.
Yes, and I spend more time in Chelmsford probably than I do in Harvard, so what's the point?
The point is, that's where you pay your taxes.
Yeah?
That's the point.
Bob, you're,
Point.
And so
Again-
how does that matter, Bob?
Let me finish.
How does that matter? I'd love you to finish this point, Bob. And I pay more taxes than you probably do in Chelmsford, so what's the point?
The point is, why is everything perfect for Chelmsford, but not for the town you live in?
Well, first of all, Bob, I think things are pretty good in the town that I live in, which is
Which
why
you were the town manager.
I live there, Bob.
Right, you were the
And why
town
I
manager.
pay over $11,000 a year in taxes, and they have quality schools, okay? And I think the goal of Chelmsford is to always be proving itself, and that's what this is trying to do. Improve and better the community, which is
Putting-
what I've been trying to do for 9 years.
Putting decorative signs in the center well
Bob.
before we do the rest of the center, I think is premature. I'll
That's your
vote for it
opinion.
when it's
That's
done.
your opinion, Bob.
Bob,
Okay,
with all
who's
due
gonna make a
respect,
motion?
you can vote against an article without asking other people and making it personal.
Well,
you
I'm
don't need to
sorry.
do that. Just
I'm
vote
sorry.
against the article if you don't
No.
like it. You've been doing
I
this
wanna
all
make-
night.
I want to make my point made.
Make your
Okay.
point
I
about
want
the
my
point to be
signs.
made.
The point about the signs has nothing to do with Harvard or anything
I
else.
just have a quick question.
Yeah,
So,
it does. They have none.
I didn't realize they were.
$10,000 for the design and bid specification.
Yeah.
So they could come back and say, okay, here's the signs we recommend, right?
Right.
But we could, instead of funding at a future date, 150 to 250,000, we may decide only to do, say, $50,000.
Exactly.
Or $20,000 worth of
nothing.
signs, just to start,
Or
especially
nothing.
if we, or nothing.
Right.
But why spend the money on the design if we're not ready? We're not ready.
A
I'm
lot-
sorry. We're not
Evan
ready.
addressed that point as well, and I think that would have been the appropriate time to ask these questions. He did
Right.
say a majority of these signs, maybe not a majority, he said at least a portion of the signs, specifically the parking and a few other directional signs, are ready to go in at this point. Again, that was
No, they're
that was
not ready
addressed.
to go.
Sure they would be.
We already
No, they aren't.
We have them designed, and they would point out places like the municipal parking.
We had a
They
map.
probably would
Parking
provide.
signs? Do
they
we
would-
have parking signs in the center? Paul?
Yes, we do, Bob.
Okay. Do we have
we
other
want-
signs in the center?
Right, and what do people say? They can't find anything in the center. They don't know where the municipal parking lot is. And we also have the issue of sign pollution in the center and the appropriateness of an historic center village. So yes, we can put up tacky, bright blue and fluorescent yellow signs in the center. If that's how you want the center of town to look, well, then that's what town meeting can decide. But I don't think that's what the town's looking for in the center of the community. I think what they're looking for,
Someone told you that?
as Evan described, yes, they told me that through the adoption of this master plan, Bob.
Yeah.
And that's what we're asking the town to decide.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Well, I won't comment.
Don't
there.
vote for it, Bob. You're one vote. You're one vote of 162. Don't vote for it, Bob, if that's what you're
No,
choosing to
that's
do.
not the point. I'm also a member of the Board of Selectmen, and I
Yep.
really don't like the attitude towards me.
Bob, you've given me attitude all night.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
You
No,
brought
I
up
haven't.
where I live, what I pay in taxes, and everything else. So don't give me that I'm jumping on your case, Bob.
Yeah, you are.
It
No,
comes
Bob.
back around,
You
Bob.
did it the last meeting. So
Sorry.
Oh, I think it's Bob. You ought to look in the mirror first, Bob.
Yeah.
You did it the last
George,
meeting.
would you
because I
like to
got
make a
calls
motion?
about it.
or-
Yeah, all right.
Bob's done.
This is,
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 11, wayfinding signage.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays or abstentions?
No.
All right, so that was 3-2. Get that, Vivian? All right. Yes. Number 12, structural and building code analysis of 101 Mill Road building. Again, we've heard about why this is being requested. Any additional comments before we vote? Questions or comments? Would anyone like to make a motion?
How much is this football?
$7,000.
I make a motion that we recommend the structural and building code analysis of 101 Mill Road building for $7,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? It's unanimous. General Stabilization Fund appropriations, warrant article number 13. In front of me. Any questions on this article? Pull it up if you do.
How much more?
$681,046.
Would anyone like to make a motion under?
See, I don't think we should do this. That's my opinion. I think
Why
we
is
should
that?
add it to the 280 or 90,000 get up to $700,000 in the return to taxpayers.
Let me pull this out.
I mean, what's the
Sorry?
difference if we have,
I'm sorry, I'm not following. What are you saying?
okay, rather than transferring this money in the stabilization fund,
Right?
I want it to be returned to the taxpayers. Because the stabilization fund is hefty at this point. And the same people that argue about the stabilization are the same people that let Bernie Lynch spend it down to $2 million. I'm ready to take them on, too.
What is it, what does this bring up?
What's that?
What does this bring?
I'd say discussing Bernie Lynch is getting off track, but I'm sure he'll disagree with me.
Another friend of yours, yeah.
8.9.
I think this was discussed.
I don't know.
500,000 is to help keep us at the 7.5%,
20,
and then
25.
181,000 is anticipated that we're going to have to pay out in contract negotiations at some point.
I understand your
Yeah.
point, and I think it's a good point. The only problem I have with it, though, is we, we made a promise to put that money back when we
We got the 500.
took it out. Yeah.
What did we take the 500 out for?
Back at Springtown meeting, we used 500,000 from the stabilization fund to fund the current year's operating budget.
To
with
balance
the
the budget.
expectation
Because
that
of
we,
OPEB.
Well,
Well,
no,
it's to
just
balance the budget.
just to balance the
Yeah,
budget,
the
but the
expectation
promise
that we would
was
put it back in the
is that we
fall.
would put it back in.
But isn't it for OPEB?
No, it's to fund the entire town's operating budget for fiscal year
Which
2016.
includes OPEB.
Which includes
But you
OPEB,
couldn't
which,
balance it without it.
which includes everything,
Yeah,
Bob,
includes
all 120 million of things, including everything.
I think it's an interesting argument, and when
I think it is,
you
too.
could take it up at town meeting.
Right. I think he's not going to make a motion on this. Would Janitor Laura George would like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve, but, I will be interested to see what happens at town meeting on that. So I'll make a
Yeah.
motion to approve Article 13 regarding the General Stabilization Fund.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions?
No.
Okay, so it was 4-1, Vivian. Okay. Warrant article number 14, minimum value of personal property, subjection to taxation. This is the adoption of the exemption under $5,000 for personal property, as explained by our chief assessor.
Move to recommend favorable action on Article 14, minimum value of personal property subject to taxation.
Is there a second?
George, you want a second?
Question on the,
Second.
Why don't you second
You
it
need
so
a-
that
you need
we
a
can have
second
the
for
discussion?
discussion.
all right, I'll second it.
Okay. Motion is second. Any comments on the motion at hand?
I just had a question. When it was stated that it was going to be absorbed by
Mhm.
the taxpayers, does it get absorbed, does the portion get absorbed by everyone in the town? Or
Yes.
just the businesses?
Everyone in town. It's about $15,000 out of a $90 million levy. And it's just,
33
it's just,
cents or something like
not
that.
even that, point zero.
003.
cents.
Yeah, it was like 3
Yeah,
cents,
Right,
but
but
okay.
it's
I
absorbed by
just-
everybody, because, in other words, it doesn't affect your levy limit, it just affects a portion of, that would otherwise not be billed, so it gets distributed over the balance of everybody.
I just wanted that clarified. Thank you.
Great. All in favor of Article 14?
Aye.
Actually gonna vote.
Who seconded that?
Great. Was it unanimous?
Was it unanimous? Okay.
5-0.
Yes.
Okay.
Warrant article number 15, motor vehicle excise exemption for deployed military personnel.
Move
Goodness.
that we recommend favorable action on Article 15, motor vehicle excise exemption for deployed military personnel.
Second?
All in favor? It was unanimous. Great. Article 16, transfer of the Buttercup Lane parcels for conservation purposes. Again, we reviewed a map. This will help connect to an existing conservation corridor, mostly wet, unbuildable land.
Move that we recommend favorable action on Article 16, transfer Buttercup Lane parcel for conservation purposes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays or abstentions? It's unanimous. The inclusionary housing zoning bylaw, warrant article number 17. This was explained by Evan as well. Any further discussion?
Want to make the motion, Judge?
Yeah, I make a motion that we favor the Article 17, the inclusionary housing zoning bylaw. We recommend it.
Is there a second? It's important to remember it was an optional bylaw, so it's not a mandatory one, but,
I'll second it for the sake of discussion.
okay. So the motion's seconded. Any questions or comments on the I thought there may have been a couple final comments.
I was just gonna say, I
Yeah.
plan to vote against it. I don't like Section D, the calculation of the payment fee. I don't, I'd mentioned that, and I know it'd be a difficult thing to do, I just don't like that there's not, coming a calculation, method already put in, or some kind of parameters or something. Also, at the planning board meeting, Henry Parley, I thought, made some good points around the density bonus. I find that kind of punitive to the folks that would be subjected to that. It could go from a 3-story to a 4-story, for example, with that density bonus. So it's just not something I'm comfortable supporting at this time. But, if there's some changes made on this, I'll certainly be open to reviewing it again. But I do appreciate the hard work of the planning board. I know it's very complicated, it's taken years, but I'm just not comfortable approving it at this time.
I had some similar thoughts on that, and I had been working on some verbiage to maybe amend those 2 sections that I plan on bringing up.
You can abstain maybe then or something, or against.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do. I'm just trying to understand what
I was thinking, to Janet's point about it not being formulatory, but maybe putting in some verbiage saying that the rates will be reviewed annually in the first month of the fiscal year, or if market conditions warrant it, more frequently, but to put some caveat in there that that rate had to be reviewed every year. And then the second thing is that if the density bonus were put in, that if we could put something in saying that the special permit would require a full consensus vote of the planning board.
Look at this one. Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. You may be interested in, if you're planning on making that motion, to just let the planning board know ahead of time so they can have a little time to think about it. Because some of those things sound like they may be considered as a friendly amendment, potentially. That happens a lot when people make some small changes at town meeting floor, so.
Yeah.
just
Thank
something
you,
to
Laura,
think
we're
about.
going 4 nights.
I think we're already going 4 nights.
I'm opposed, you'll be sunning. You won't be there.
We go 4 nights, so I'm gonna make a couple.
I'm opposed to it based on the payment in lieu of taxes. I think that could be a little beefier. I agree that maybe it should be reviewed yearly. I know that when I was on the planning board, this was brought up, and David Hedison said, I don't want to bother with the, if they build the units, I don't want them, or I don't want rental units, or something to that effect. Well, he's not serving the best interests of the town if he says that, because if someone will put in 4 units of affordable housing in a good-sized complex, and that's 4 more units that we fill, so. But I'll discuss it at town meeting.
Great. Any comments? All right, there is a standing motion on the floor. All those in favor?
We didn't get a second, did we?
No, Janet
I
seconded for
second for the
discussion.
sake
Sorry.
of.
For discussion. Yeah, so all in favor? Aye. See only 2. Nays or abstentions?
Opposed?
Opposed.
So motion fails. Would anyone like to make
Motion to recommend
motion
against.
to recommend against?
Oh, okay.
You can do that.
Make a motion that we recommend against Article 17.
Is there a
I
second?
will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3. And nays or abstentions? Opposed to that? Motion opposed. So that was 3-2 to recommend against approval of Article 17. 3-2. Against approval. Okay.
I can imagine what WCAB will be saying about us this Saturday.
Never know with
There's
those guys.
space for you to go on, because Matt's not going to be there.
Yeah, I'm
So
looking for
he's looking
people
for
the next
people
few
to go
weeks.
on, Bob, for an hour.
You want to be a guest?
Good, you're
You wanna
all
be the
welcome.
guest? You want to run?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
really?
go.
Next week? They love having you on.
You see if we can get
No,
him the
next week.
job.
My one day to sleep in, so.
I know. Oh, we're in Article number 18.
I sleep in too. But
Establishing the Affordable Housing Stabilization Fund. Again, this is related to the housing zoning bylaw, the inclusionary zoning bylaw.
we can vote in favor of it in case it passes.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah, that's,
sufficient?
I'll second
you do
that.
want that, yeah. I would recommend.
Make a recommendation that the board recommend Article 18, establish affordable housing stabilization fund. Should I add, if needed?
If you can say if Article 17 is
If Article
approved.
17 is
If Article
approved.
17
Yeah,
is
I think
approved.
that's appropriate.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Warrant article number 19, the Community Preservation Fund, Oak Hill Conservation Land projects, mainly the bridge, a few other upgrades as well.
How much more?
$30,000.
Thank you.
And I know I should have asked Conservation Committee last week, but on the budget, line item budget of this, several of these items come down as DPW, the parking lot, move the gate entrance, and trail to stream. So that's a pretty heavy amount of this bill. Is that really coming out of the $30,000 and we're charging it back to
No,
the
we
DPW?
no.
or-
When we do that, we don't charge DPW time and that kind of thing to the article. What it is the plan envisions DPW performing work, which we will do. In other words, we'll do the design work, engineering, and so forth. My understanding is that it was like 28 and some change for the article, which we rounded to 30,000, is for the materials and other components of the fencing and other components of the project, the bridge and so forth, to how that will get done. So
Yeah, because there are line items for materials, but
Right.
then the other items just like
Right.
DPW.
right, so
but those,
right, so those are not funded through this article. So they would be funded from our force account.
be part of the money that is in this
Right,
budget I'm
it'll
looking
be
at.
right. Work will be performed by the DPW, but
Yeah.
we do not charge the
So,
time.
so
back.
I'm looking at about half that in materials is
Mhm.
really what I'm seeing
Right.
would be the
So
real
again,
cost to the town.
And what would happen is, and we've seen this on other projects, is when it's all bid and done and completed, if there's money left over, we would then come back and return it back to the general fund of the town. We close out the article. So it's really an amount not to exceed for the project.
All right, because I mean, it's a great project,
Right.
but I would love to see it come in
And I think
half
it
that
will. I mean,
amount.
I don't think they envisioned the involvement from costs who've already been involved with some of the trail clearing and so forth.
Right.
And so I agree. I don't foresee that at the end of the day, we'll spend the full 30.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to recommend Article 19?
Move to recommend Article 19,
I will second.
Community Preservation Fund, Oak Hill Conservation Land, for 30,000.
Too quick.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Great. All right, I believe that is everything. Back to my agenda. Great. So we finished recommendations on the town meeting warrant articles. We'll move on to liaison reports and referrals. Anything this evening? Anything, Laura? I know we just had a meeting last week. Anything this evening, George or Bob?
Yeah.
George?
Well, this afternoon I attended a promotional meeting for the police department where Sergeants Todd Ahern and Gary Hannigan were both promoted to lieutenants, starting, I think, this evening at 12 o'clock. Gary Hannigan will start his first shift as a lieutenant at midnight. So good luck to both of them and congratulations. On another hand, I'd like to mention the gentleman who passed away this last week. He was Gus Falgren. He was 24 years, member of the Board of Appeals. He was 91 years old. He was a World War II veteran. He was a bronze medal winner. So my condolences go to his daughter Lisa and his companion of 13 years, Mary Lane. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Great. Anything, Bob?
No, I'll pass it.
Okay, great. I just wanted to thank everyone who put in all the great efforts, not only from the community, but also from the businesses for Fall Fest this weekend, and then the farmers market again. They're going to be coming in probably one of our first meetings in November to thank the seniors who helped them out with their setup and breakdown over the course of the year. But Fall Fest was a success, and we can look forward to seeing the farmers market folks in soon. On that, I do just want to say after this week, my office hours are going to be on hold until November because I'm getting married and then going on my honeymoon. So I will not
Do
be
you have to
around.
ask first before you can have office hours?
Absolutely. You know, to come back to
Be
them,
with you in
I
your
may have
office
to.
hours?
You know, when I met her, I was already doing it. So I don't know. I don't know how things change after you get married.
All changes.
You're gonna
Everyone,
bring some cake into the office hours?
Not at all.
You'll
Enjoy
find
the
out.
power while you have
yeah.
it.
Everyone gives me a different answer, so I don't know who to trust. We'll see. I'll take it as it goes. Is there any press questions? I don't see any press. Next regular meeting is
Oh,
November
did they?
2nd.
Did
They
we-
passed.
Oh, they did. Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Whose is this?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
You want to keep it?
No, I just found the one.
Thank you.
that she
Have a
was
good night.
Matthew of Scaling.